Hello, my name is Lucia Dore, and I'm the host of the podcast Why Learn Business English, The Art of Communication. LearnBusinessEnglish.net is a place to go to become an entrepreneur and for a comprehensive and engaging course for learning business English online. Today, I would like to introduce Cornelia and Johan Raubal, who will be telling us why it's so important to listen if you want to be a good communicator and leader. Both are an expert on leadership, having founded the Fierce Leadership Academy, and we'll learn more about that soon. And I know that Cornelia also helps MDs in STEM turn technical strength into leadership excellence. And we're going to open it up to Johan and Cornelia, who are going to tell us about the Fierce Leadership Academy.
Fierce Leadership Academy is about helping leaders become authentic leaders with integrity. Basically, leaders that get the best out of their people and achieve the things they want to do. And it's something that I found is sorely lacking. In my career, I spent a lot of time with other businesses and business leaders in consulting, and I found that this is something we need to educate people about. It's not something you can pick up when you work inside a business. You have to be taught it.
So
because the models we have today are not the right ones.
Skills do you think are needed to be a good leader? I mean, that seems to be changing a lot because we are so involved with social media, and I think that's changing everything as well.
Yeah, I mean, all leaders, in my view, have to stand with integrity. They have to be themselves. They have to be authentic. And they have to have clarity of purpose. Why am I here as a leader? What's my job? What am I doing with my people? And if you have those three things, the rest become a lot easier because people will start listening to what you're saying. They will believe in what you want to achieve, and they will walk with you on the path that you're trying to follow.
So do you think that leaders nowadays, and CEOs in particular, have the right skills to be the good communicators, or are they too wedded to social media? And I see Cornelia working there.
Yeah, I think that's a difficult one because the skills required haven't really changed, but our opinion about what they need to be have. And the best leaders we have, they're quietly just getting on with it. But the ones that want to be loud and you know, they want to be important and they want to be seen are the ones that we notice. And those are the ones that we see in press and media a lot about. And aren't necessarily the good leaders that we need. And that's part of our problem today is we have such a lens on what we think a good leader looks like that we forget all the ones that quietly just get on with it and who are actually excellent leaders.
Do you think that people then are born with the skills to be a great leader, or can you develop them?
You can develop them, definitely. I mean, nurture is the key thing here. It depends on the environment you have. And that said, there are people, and I've met a few of them, who should never be in a leadership position. But that's probably because of their background, where they came from, and how they were taught how leadership should be done and how you are a good leader. But definitely. And my point is, taking someone who is a mediocre leader to be a great leader, absolutely. That's training, skill, knowledge, and understanding what the world around you needs from you more than it is some inherent trait.
And what have you found out dealing with the MDs in STEM, Cornelia, in terms of they might be good technocrats, and usually they are, but can they be good leaders as well?
They can be, but they do need to be taught it.
Really?
If you think that only 18% of people ever receive any training about how to lead. Most people, like myself, so I spent almost 20 years in the steel industry, you learn it yourself if you have the will to do that. So what I've found in STEM is that you've got lots of people that have excellent technical skills, but they don't quite have the people skills to go along with it. It's about helping them see how best to deal with their people. That's usually the missing skill. It's about listening to them, and it's about helping them to build the team around them that, works in the way that they want it to.
I also want to raise Steve Jobs as a good example. because Steve Jobs is a very good example because he was
about that.
He's an excellent leader, but a terrible person. I mean, as an individual, he was abhorrent. He was terrible. He was not nice to people around him. But as a leader, he had such clarity of purpose, and he could communicate that clarity of purpose so well. That's what made him so effective as a leader.
So you're saying that leaders need to be very clear on what their message is, and they should be able to convey that.
Absolutely. Clarity of purpose. Why am I here? And what am I trying to do? If you can't communicate that, you can't rally your people to go in your direction. You have no way of achieving anything meaningful. It becomes people wandering around in a circle going, oh, we're going somewhere probably. And that's to me is the bigger issue with leadership. And also when we talk about leadership, we need to separate leadership from management. There are too many people who believe that you get promoted into leadership, that leadership is a additional attribute you get in your career line. I am now a leader as well as a manager. And getting people in today's world to understand that leadership is a trait that is inherent in many people in your organization, be they managers or not. And that's something that people don't in the main get today. We have too many people who believe that management is leadership, but it isn't. And I have met many managers and spoken for hours to many managers who are not leaders, but think they are.
So you could just be like a salesperson and be a good leader. Is that
Absolutely. You can be a technical expert and be a good leader because you have clarity of purpose. You know what it is you're trying to achieve. And that means you can get people in the organization with you to believe in this message, believe in what you're trying to achieve. And the minute you're getting people to believe in what you're trying to do and you rally people around you, you're leading. And whether that be in a managerial position or whether you're doing it as a colleague or someone within the organization trying to achieve something, it's leadership.
How can you teach people leadership, though? How can you teach people to have clarity of purpose? That
taps into a very problematic and deep thing that exists within corporates right now and in a lot of companies. This notion that there should be no discord, that we should have no opinions, that everyone should be aligned to a single message. We should have an echo chamber of similarity because that's the only way forward for us. That's the only way we can achieve what we're trying to do. And that's simply not true. I believe that the best messages to people are born out of, not fears, passionate debate and discussion, but people try and pull in different directions, and then from that conversation and discussion, you get the best possible outcome for the group as a whole. Sometimes it doesn't work, and we talked about Steve Jobs. He did listen, but he also didn't listen. And that's a problem when you have strong leaders, is that they are not good at listening always. They have their own vision and their own view that they want to stick to. But I still think it's important that you have discord, that you have people who are willing to stand up for what they think is right and willing to project that sort of view into the group. But that comes also with a rate from a leader. They must not shut them down. They must let them have their say, because often the smallest voice in a group carries the biggest message, the biggest truth. And if you don't listen to it, you're missing out.
You're talking about listening a lot, and it sounds as though you have to be an active listener, what they call an active listener. You have to be purposeful in your listening.
I think active listening, the term active listening is problematic today because it's almost lost its meaning in a way. But yes, listening to what someone says and the intent behind it and understanding the message they're conveying is critical. You have to not only listen to the words, but also hear the message underneath. Absolutely. And that comes from the smallest voice to the loudest voice. But in a good leadership position, you will both listen to the smallest voice and the loudest voice, and you will temper the loudest voices to make sure that you get equilibrium in your group and everyone is heard equally.
How important is it then to speak the same language, in this sense, like it might be everybody speaking Spanish, or we're involved in business English, but how important is it to speak one language? What happens?
It's absolutely paramount that you have a good, common, solid understanding. And English is so often today the lowest common denominator in a business situation. It's a lingua franca. It is the only way we can communicate. And in that setting, it is absolutely key that we understand each other, we have a good grounding in the language we're communicating in. Because cultural values has such an impact on people's perception, especially in English. Spanish person coming to English, as opposed to a Filipino person coming to English, as opposed to a German person coming to English, there needs to be some common ground. There needs to be some understanding of what that interaction would look like. And the fact that in German, I mean, one of the points here to illustrate this is that the word sensible in German is the word sensitive in English. And the word sensible in English is not at all what the German thinks it is. So they will say, we have to have a sensible conversation around this, means they are trying to say they need to have a sensitive conversation around it, but not a sensible conversation. So those are the kind of pitfalls you find in business English when you're talking about some of these things. And that's one of the pitfalls that's quite easily to fall into, because it sounds like they're saying sensible, but they're not.
Now, apart from Steve Jobs, and you said he was a good leader but not a good person, this is somebody who is both a good leader and a good person.
So
they're mutually exclusive.
They're not, but the people who are good leaders and good people, you don't see them. They quietly get on with it.
They just get on with it.
I was thinking about this earlier, about how do you explain this? And I was kind of, my mind was drawn to sort of the small industrial businesses that exist in the Midlands in England, where they have been unchanged for 100 years, right, or more. They still get on with doing what they're doing. And they're led by generally people who are really good leaders. They just get on with it. They're self-effacing. They are not looking for loud or anything. They just want to get on, doing a good job. They want to drive their business. They want to do what they do and can carry on doing what they do. These are often very, very good leaders, but they're not flashy. They're not in the media. They don't do grand things. They don't get onto the political stage and saying, look at me, I'm really important, because they have no interest. That's not what they stand for. And that's often the case in good, really great leaders, is they stand behind their people quietly with purpose and dignity, and they just do the things they need to do to make sure that everyone can do the job they need to do.
In other words, they're not likely to become politicians. We've got one here.
Got none.
You know, the CEO of Air New Zealand has become the Prime Minister, and they're two different things.
Absolutely. And self-effacing is, I think, is such a key attribute of a great leader. I'm not in it for me. I'm in it for others. And that to me makes a good leader into a great leader, when you step away from the ego. I am not here to promote myself. I'm here to promote the business and the people. I'm letting the people that I lead, I'm going to let them shine, because those are the people that need to shine. I'm only here to facilitate their greatness. I am not here to take the center stage myself. And all the people I've worked with, the truly great leaders I've worked with, that's been a key attribute in their arsenal that they've carried. And you felt when you spoke to them, and this was always said about Bill Clinton, that he made you feel like the most important person in the room. That's an attribute as well. They make you feel like you matter. Your view matters. You are important to them, and you feel it.
So how would people get in contact with you if they want to become a good leader? Do they have to actually meet you in person, or can they do it?
Do a lot of our work virtually, in actual fact. So you know, I've worked with people all around the world. I've worked with people in Spain, South Africa. So, you know, now we have all of this wonderful technology. There's nothing that actually holds us back. So we can do everything that we would do in person virtually as well.
So they would just need to contact you through Craftport or something like that?
Yes, and we're really easy to find on LinkedIn as well, because actually we have the benefit that both myself and Johan are the only people in the world with our names. So you search our name and you find us.
Really? Why is that? You're the only people. Yeah, the only time I've come across it. It's not like Dore. There are actually quite a few Dores around. I will say, well, thank you very much for your time, and we'll hopefully speak again soon.